May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and whether it's processing the loss of a loved one, losing a job, or surviving a natural disaster, trauma is real, and many of us struggle with those emotions.
And with the grim memories of the deadly Shannon Park shooting 1 year ago today, or like Julia mentioned, the impacts of Mother Nature up in our mountain communities, it serves as a reminder of the mental burden survivors and loved ones of those affected that they continue to carry to this day.
Joining us now, Daniel Miles, a licensed mental health counselor, sitting down with us on how to process these tragedies a year later, as we mentioned. And Daniel, you were telling us before we came on air that you used to be a chaplain manager. And so you talk to people who are used to seeing loss, right? We know that our law enforcement officers, this is a line of duty they go into. They know the risk, but this is something that's hard to process. How do you move on? How do you continue to go to work after something like that happens?
It's a great question, Julian. Oftentimes, I appreciate you're using this phrase, move on, because I think a lot of times my clients come in and say, how do I move on or get past this? And I often try to sort of slow people down that maybe that's not always the most helpful language, because the things that happen to us, the things that we experience or witness, they become a part of us. And it can be really tempting to think, how do I get over this speed bump and then I just head on down the road like it never happened? And so part of how I help people process this is to help them realize, like, this is a part of your experience, and so how do we integrate this into who you are, what you've been through, so that you feel comfortable to kind of head into what comes next in your life without feeling like this is a thing we just leave behind. And I think oftentimes that's what people want to do, just like, how do I dust this off and move on like it didn't happen? And that actually usually holds people back.
Yeah, and it's like skipping a chapter in a book. I mean, you could do that, but you got to work through it, because you know, it leaves a scar, which is a reminder of where you've been. But as you say, working through that, you know, and there's always these stigma, especially for men, of you don't talk about your feelings, you keep it bottled up, you know, you stay strong, even for kids. You know, so how do we get through that stigma, and how do we realize talking with a professional, living in a community that support, that talking through it is how you get through into the other side to be stronger?
Yeah, I work with, most of my caseload is men, and it's not something I set out to cultivate, but I think that a lot of men, when they're seeking some space, feel more comfortable coming to a man as a therapist. And a lot of what it is about, how do we, first of all, how do we just talk about it being okay to talk? And how do we model that? And I think that's a thing that I've seen a lot in, you know, working in a hospital setting, working with first responders. There is that stigma, and it's not just with men. Working in a hospital, nurses, doctors, I mean, everybody feels that pressure to not talk. We got to do this thing and move forward. And so how do we create little spaces where we can normalize that we can talk about something, even if it's just for, you know, in a high pressure environment, to take 5-10 minutes to say, man, that was really crazy. That was really scary. That's really affecting me. That was really messed up. Just kind of starting with some of these basics about being able to say out loud, wow, that was heavy.
Daniel, a year later, we know that PTSD is not something that just happens to law enforcement or nurses and doctors. It can happen to anybody. What do you do a year later, 2 years later, when that moment hits you and your body just kind of freezes up? How do you process that moment?
Yeah. I tell folks that the first thing to do is to recognize when it's happening, which sometimes is the hardest. I mean, we're trained to sort of go through our days, you know, get up and get the kids dressed, we get to work, we got things we need to do. And oftentimes when something like that hits us, we want to push it down, like, I got things to do, I don't have time for this. And so I often invite people, like, just, again, doesn't have to take a lot of time. Give yourself a few seconds to recognize that's what's happening. And then to pay attention with what you're feeling in your body. Pretty much every emotion that we experience has some sort of physiological sensation that goes along with it. And that can be a great way of sort of grounding yourself in your body. Am I feeling, you know, is my heart racing? Am I breathing shallow? Do I have muscle tension? And if that's happening, sort of focus in on that. Maybe take some deep breaths to see if your body might need to be reminded that this is where we are right now. We're not in this terrible thing that happened. We're here, we're safe, and to sort of slowly, you know, get back into the moment.
How important is community, whether it's 2 or 3 men together, women that spend time together, whether it's faith-based or to go seek out professional help? How important is that? I feel like we're not supposed to be living out life alone, especially when we're dealing with heavy things.
Yeah, Jason, I love that question. I think it's essential. I think community is absolutely essential. And we live in a place where we're surrounded by people, and we can, social media, and we can text people whenever, and folks feel so lonely. And so I am often working with people around, where is your community, your family, friends, coworkers, a place of faith, a social group, because there's something about being in the presence of other people that can be healing in and of itself. And our brains are really fascinating, and they're powerful in how we're built to connect to other people. And part of what can be a difficult piece around things like this shooting, Hurricane Helene, our brains want to connect to other people. And so there's this thing called vicarious trauma, where if we are witnessing other people suffering, we feel like we are suffering. That's how much we want to connect with other people, is that we feel that, even if these are people we don't know.
We have both, Julian and I have talked about that, going up to Western North Carolina. We leave the mountains driving back to Charlotte going, I feel their pain, I empathize with them, and that's a real thing, Daniel.
Absolutely, absolutely it is. And we often are taught in ways both implicit and explicit that we shouldn't do that we need to leave people be, which, and again, I'm all for boundaries, but it's important sometimes for us to get back in touch with, we want to be connected to people, and we want to care for people, and that helps us to feel like we're a part of something bigger, and that's really significantly important for our mental health.
Daniel, I think we got maybe 15 seconds left, but I want to ask you this because just like Western North Carolina, we ended up checking on each other. Yeah. How can people just say, are you okay? How can people ask it and mean it?
I think that's a great question. All kinds of ways, a text message, a quick phone call, or an email to just say essentially what you said. Hey, there's been a lot going on, and I'm checking in with you. How are you really doing? I know we get in that habit of, how are you doing? Yeah, I'm good. But to let people know, no, I mean it. Talk to me if you need to. I'm here for you.
We've got the NC Peer Warm Line right there. You can also, the Suicide Crisis Lifeline is 988. Don't be afraid to call it if you need it. You are never alone. There's always someone there that's got your back. Daniel, thanks for spending time with us, sharing this as we're rolling into Mental Health Awareness Month. All 12 months should be, but certainly May, a highlight of that, and as we focus. Daniel Miles, appreciate it.
Thank you.